Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, recording, remembering, recording. That's it.
Oh, golden hour captured by leaf, gently bear to fall, the details in between, an offering so deep. How would you massage God? Would you smother him in blazing red, canary yellow, or I'd take golden fog, mellow leaf, needle off through fingertips to deeply treat his aching back while he is so busy.
Higher spirit souls, I hope you're all hopeful and happy. Welcome to Candlelight Nook. My name is Diogo. Today we're going to talk about how important memory is for self-realization and spiritual advancement. But first, an analogy. This is a fascinating device. The camera is totally dark in the inside of its body, but when the shutter opens for a fraction of a second, the body fills up with light, and the film, which has a special photosensitive chemical, captures that light, the intensity, the colors, and when you want, you develop your picture, and voila, you have a two-dimensional representation of the moment you wanted to capture. Now, a similar thing happens when we perceive something. It's totally dark inside our body. The only thing that illuminates it is our consciousness of it. And when we want to experience the world, we do it through one of our senses, like the eyes. Though even if our eyes are open, there's so much happening in the world that we're not directly experiencing or intentionally bringing into us. Something else needs to happen. Like you need to focus the lens of a camera to take a good picture. You need to really focus your mind or open your heart to be impressed by something that's happening in the world. So when we really focus, when we really try to open our heart to, for example, what an author is saying, or how this person is feeling, or what is it about the way that light moves on leaves that makes our heart flutter so much, that we can really understand, that we can really be impressed by something and bring it into our heart. Once we record an image onto a photograph, we can look back on it for later. And once we become impressed by something in our heart, we can remember it. The words record and remember have similar Latin roots. To record comes from one of my all-time favorite words, recordis, which is Latin for to bring something into the heart again, or to restore something within the heart. And to remember literally means to become mindful again. In this analogy, we can see that while both the camera and our bodies are dark on the inside, there's still something that we possess that can be affected or impressed by what's outside. The camera has film, and we have a heart. And here is why memory and remembrance are so important to self-realization. Two things are important for a good image. One, you have to be in front of the object that you want to take a picture of. And two, your lens has to be very clean. If you want to take a picture of a tree, you need to stand in front of a tree, but you also need to have your lenses very clean so no impressions on the lens superimpose themselves onto the image. The point here is that love, courage, humility, compassion, wisdom, all of these things that we're really living for are not physical things, but we're standing in front of physical things to try to capture them. There's no one-to-one relationship between metaphysical and physical things. Say I want love, for example. How many loaves of bread can I trade in for love? Do I get more love for whole wheat bread or less love for gluten-free bread? How many pickles can I exchange for courage? If I give half of a pickle, is that the better part of valor? And what about humility? How many chapters of Sanskrit grammar do I have to read to develop two humilities? If I read it really quickly, can I just be a little bit humble? It may sound funny, but when we try to trigger metaphysical states from physical ones, the same perceptual error is occurring. We're confusing one thing for another. It's like standing in front of a tree and trying to capture a song. In the Vedic conception of the world, since the living being is eternal and their existence is not jeopardized by physical death, there's no such thing as evil, just different degrees of ignorance, or an inability to interact with people and things properly. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that our consciousness has become covered or smudged by lust. The word he uses is kama. Desire exists in a spectrum, and it begins with the individual and it culminates with God. To the degree that we want to enjoy with God, we are free from kama, or the tendency to enjoy something independently and with ourselves. To the degree that our consciousness is affected by this kama, or desire to enjoy something independently, we begin to objectify the world and see it just as an object that belongs to me to enjoy. But to the degree that our consciousness becomes purified of this kama, we'll see things as belonging to the divine, meant to be served. So what do? Anything that you buy that is fairly complex will come with an instruction manual. And the same goes with furniture from IKEA. The Vedas are a corpus of knowledge that describe everything. The composition of the world, the genesis of the cosmos, the laws of morality, the process of self-realization, and the characteristics and nature of the spiritual world and of the Creator. The Vedas are an instruction manual revealed by the supremely conscious, original being, Krishna, to guide all living entities back to him. At the highest point of these literatures, the Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the heart of a living being is cleansed simply by listening to the holy name, to Krishna's pastimes with his devotees, and to descriptions of the spiritual nature. In the same way that the lens of a camera is cleansed by an agent that restores its transparency, the consciousness of a living being is cleansed by devotional activities that restore the love of its original state of existence. So the more that we practice these devotional activities, the more that we listen to descriptions of God, the more that we try to understand the histories of the saints and their devotional activities, and the more we try to practice ourselves the chanting of the holy names, the easier it becomes to remember the importance of these spiritual activities. And in that way, the path to self-realization becomes self-illuminated. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope it was useful to you. Analogies really help me understand things better. If you have any suggestions for other topics that we can go into, I'd love to hear them. Thank you so much for stopping by. We have more videos coming up in the future. You are allowed to press the subscribe button and like this video. Leave a comment about what your thoughts and reflections are. My name is Diogo. This was Candlelight Nook, and I will see you later.
Left hand is for the sweeper with the right, he does the right. Left hand is for the sweeper with the right, he does the right. Resting place of every living entity. Resting place of every living entity.